When they close down one and open up here, it's going to continue with the same amount of business, but only better. Because each one of your buildings are now have constraints. Nissan, all of them want bigger buildings, bigger service departments, more cars on the lots. But it wasn't like there's just a want to move. There was a need to move. And this, you get third generation, Mike Auffenberg, are you third or fourth? Fourth generation, taking over the business. I mean, the wheels are in motion for the fourth generation coming online. This is something that will be here for the next 30 years or longer. The Auffenberg family leases their other buildings. They don't want to lease there any longer than they have to. The idea is to get in here as soon as possible, but you know, if you're looking back when I sold the land, assembled and sold the land to Memorial, that was in 2012, and it just now opened, you know, not too long ago. So these things take time, but we want to move forward just as soon as possible. Other automobile sites, 22 acres. This is almost 36 acres. Their current site sits next to a sewer treatment plant. Not that that's always a problem, but is occasionally a problem. And the current site is undermined, and there has been some minor issues there right now. Our next step is to transform this into a preliminary plat and come in, probably file in May, be in here in June for preliminary plat. After that point, we'll go into full engineering, and with that engineering, we'll know exactly what our water calculations are for stormwater. At this point, we don't anticipate asking for any variances on green space or anything like that. But we will discuss all of that when we come in for preliminary plat and then obviously for final plat. So we would expect final plat to be later this year. And then on the 3.6 acres, we don't close that portion till in February next year. So right now the game plan would be to be poised and ready to start street work, sewer infrastructure, water extension, all of our infrastructure, traffic signal, work on Frank Scott this time next year. So,
my vote tonight was specifically against this, not because I'm against the improvement of the village's retail base. It's because we're giving away 3/4 of the 1% sales tax, which will be $1.2 million a year to Auffenberg. That's the administrative cost burden of this village right now. $300,000 is what we will be living off of for the next 15 years on this, and I don't believe that that's a good economic sense to the village, because it will most probably cost us more than $300,000.
I'm just curious, like one of the parameters with the sales tax rebate is that it's based on 35% of the projected construction costs or a certain dollar amount, whichever is less.
Right.
How does one establish transparency for the numbers for the construction costs?
Be completely open book. We're going to have to provide you copies of contracts.
That's been a conversation from the very beginning that we've had with them, is that if we're looking at these kinds of numbers, is that we need to see copies of executed contracts for the infrastructure work and the various aspects of what that infrastructure work is, the water lines, the sewer lines, the streets, the storm sewer, and they've been more than willing to say that they would be providing that information so that we can, of course, have it because of the reimbursements that we're talking about.
Developers at risk, they do the project, money goes to the Department of Revenue, comes back to the village, and then the developer applies for the reimbursement based upon the terms of the agreement, and then they get reimbursed, so there's no risk to the village.
I don't mind saying that this was not the best, the deal you're looking at is not the best offer that was out there for this project. The one community offered something quite a bit larger than this. But frankly, the site was the B site. They're willing to accept less in rebates, and the other one had TIF involved too, to get the best site for the next 30 years. One thing we haven't mentioned is, you know, there was a lot of people in the development community did not think we should go here. Thought that, you know, retail kind of was all back here. I think this opens the door for more retail to come here.
Right.
I think this opens the door for more traffic count on Frank Scott to help the Deerbergs development project. I think, Tony, you would probably agree that the more retail we have down there, it just fuels. So all of their employees, we're gonna connect to the frontage road, I call it the frontage road, by the Holiday Inn Express. It's an easy shot down here to hit these restaurants. You know, we're talking about well over 100 employees.